We are back with the NFL Week 11 player props, including a nice ladder parlay. Let's talk some pigskin. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back in to another episode for Just a Bet Outside. I am your host, Steven, and it is time, baby. That's right, NFL Week 11. We got player props, we got anytime touchdowns, and we have a ladder parlay for over plus 700. We hit the ladder parlay last week. Let's see if we can do it again. But quick reminder, NFL best game bets. If you're looking for sides, totals, team totals, along with a ton of trends for Week 11 and some leans, that video is out now. But before we get started, of course, we got to talk about NOVIG, the best social sportsbook out there where you can bet against your peers. It's a lot different. You can set your own lines, have people bet against you as well. It's honestly a great app, especially for people in those non-legal sports betting states. It's available in all those states in blue right there, although it is leaving California, I just heard. So, unfortunately, that's not good news. But if you sign up using the link below in the description, you can get this awesome promo where you spend $5, get $50. So, pretty simple. Of course, you must be 21 years old to gamble. If you have a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, let's get into it. You know that means we got to end the week on a dad joke. Here we go. Did you know that before crowbars were invented, crows mostly drank alone? That's pretty good. In this video, we're going to talk my 5 favorite player props for Week 11. And then, of course, we have that ladder parlay. And then we're going to talk my 3 favorite anytime touchdowns for Week 11. And, of course, we'll finish it with the recap. So hit that like button if you haven't already. Leave a comment below to help this channel continue to grow. If you're new to the channel, tap that subscribe button. Come join this awesome community. We talk sports every single day and have a lot of fun doing it. So let's get it rolling. And that means it's player prop time. All right, prop number 1 is a 1-unit play. We got a receiver. Give me Christian Watson over 37.5 receiving yards, minus 110 on BetMGM. Let's talk about this one. Packers offense last week was horrendous. We know that. I expect a better performance here, but let's talk Christian Watson. Oh, he was hurt to start the year. He's only played 3 games, but guess what? He's over this line in all 3 games, averaging just under 63 receiving yards per game. 85 versus Pittsburgh, 58 versus Carolina, 45 versus Philly. He's not a guy who has huge volume, so this isn't one of those plays where, like, hey, he's going to get 9, 10 targets or anything. He has exactly 4 targets in all 3 games, although he was on a snap count a bit in the first game. I think a little bit in the second one as well. But in those 10 targets so far, he's caught 8 of 10. So, I mean, you got to love to see that, of those 12 targets. But he's a big play guy. He's averaging a huge 24.3 yards per reception, has a long catch of 33, 52, and 25 in the 3 games. I mean, he's got a long catch that pretty much goes over this in 2 of the 3 already. So, again, we don't need a ton of volume from him. He has the 3rd highest ADOT in the National Football League. That's average depth of target, 25.91. He is running some deep routes and makes some big plays. Now, he's facing the Giants, ranked 28th in receiving yards allowed. They play a lot of man-to-man. They did that with Brian Daboll, at least. I can't imagine they all of a sudden switch it to zone in this game. But Christian Watson absolutely demolishes man-to-man. Wide receivers recently versus the Giants. How about Odunze, 86 yards? Luther Burden, 51. Jennings, 41. Devontae Smith, 84. Jahan Dotson, 40. Sutton, 87. A lot of wide receivers are going over their prop against his team. I know Matthew Golden may be back, but again, that's not a huge deal. Christian Watson's more of an outside guy. Matthew Golden, he plays some on the outside, but I think he plays a lot of slot, if I remember right. And then also Dontavian Wicks is questionable to play as well, but if he plays, obviously I still like this play. So this is a low line when you have an ADOT as high as he does and surprising efficiency with Love for being a deep ball guy. I like this one a lot. You may hear about him a little bit later, but give me Christian Watson over 37.5 receiving yards as my first prop. All right, this second one is a tight end prop. I'm going 1 unit again. Give me Tyler Higbee of the Rams over 2.5 receptions, minus 125 on BetMGM. I just really don't understand this line or why it's playable, at least. As a Seahawks fan, I know. I've seen a ton of tight ends catch balls. I mean, it's been crazy. We have a great defense, but tight ends are where we just give it up. Higbee is not a heavily target tight end, but he has been efficient. And again, we're asking for 3 receptions, not 7. Last 5 games, how about 3+ catches in 4 of those 5, including 4 straight games now. 5, 4, 6, 4, and 3 targets. He has caught 13 of his last 17 targets. Why? Because he doesn't go very far past the line of scrimmage. How about an ADOT of 1 yard? He is a guy who catches a lot of quick passes. And again, I don't care about yards. And that's why you see a receiving yards line of only 21.5. He's not that guy that goes way down the field or anything. I just need the catches. Now, the matchup, best matchup in the NFL. That's right. This is the one weakness of the Seahawks defense. They struggle versus tight ends. And honestly, I think they're okay with it by taking away other things. But they've given up the most receptions to tight ends in the entire NFL, 64 receptions allowed. in 9 games. Yes, they are giving up 7.11 catches per game to tight ends. Higbee, last season versus Seattle, had 5 receptions in the only game he played. Let's talk about recent tight ends versus Seahawks. McBride, 9 receptions. Zach Ertz before that, 4. Dalton Schultz, 9 receptions. Cade Otton, 4. McBride, 7 in the first meeting. Jawan Johnson, 6. Steelers had 2 tight ends to go over this line. Freiermuth had 3. Jonnu Smith had 4. I mean, this guy could catch 4 or 5 balls, to be honest with you. The list goes on and on here. Parkinson is the backup and does get involved a little bit, and honestly, I don't mind his over 1.5 receptions as well, but I'm going to stick with Tyler here. So give me Higbee over 2.5 receptions as my second prop. All right, this third one's a little bit under the radar. I'm going to go half unit on it. It's a rookie. Jaden Higgins, the wide receiver for the Texans, over 18.5 receiving yards, minus 115 on BetMGM. So let's talk Higgins, the last 5 games. He's over this in 3 of 5. He had 32, 34, and 42 yards. So when he goes over and he's involved, he goes over pretty easily, which makes sense. It's only 18.5 line. He's averaging 4.6 targets per game in the last 5. That's a lot of targets for needing 19 yards. He has games of 8 and 7 targets in 2 of the last 3 weeks. This guy has over 15 targets in the last 3 weeks, a total of 23 in the last 5 games. In his 3 overs, he has a long catch of 12 or more yards in all 3 games. He caught a big touchdown last week in their comeback win over the Jags, and he is facing the Tennessee Titans. My goodness. Ranked 27th in receiving yards allowed to wide receivers. Only 5 teams have given up more yards than them. Now, let's talk some wide receivers versus Tennessee, and I mean like more secondary type receivers like him, not the main guys. Trey Harris had 18 yards. Josh Downs, 39. Pittman, 95. More of a number 1 guy, obviously. Mac Hollins, 49 yards. Trey Tucker, 70 receiving yards. Lots of number 2s and number 3s going over this line pretty easily. Seems to have a good connection with Davis Mills. Another good look is his over receptions. Only line out for that right now is over 1.5 at minus 165, but you can't get 3, but you can get 4 at plus 450, which is kind of crazy, but obviously more lines will come out. I'm going to stick to just needing 19 yards. Even though he's not the main option and a rookie, obviously there's some volatility there, but I'm going to stick to a half unit, but I do like this one. So give me the other Higgins, over 18.5 receiving yards as my third prop. All right, we are back to a 1-unit play. Give me Caleb Williams over 23.5 rushing yards at minus 114 on FanDuel. Now, I don't usually bet these type of quarterback rushing yards. We did last week, and we cashed easily with Jackson Dart. Let's cash another one. These are not my favorite props, but when the line is too low, you just got to take advantage of it. So let's talk Caleb this year. Mid-season slump when it comes to using his legs. He just didn't look to run. And then the mindset and strategy changed big time. So here's how the season has gone. He started the year out with 58 and 27 rush yards. Then he went 4 games where he just didn't look to run, didn't do anything, honestly, on the ground. Last 3 weeks, 24, 53, and 63 rush yards. 16 rush attempts in the last 3 weeks. Maybe a couple of those are kneel downs, but still, he's running the ball. He's averaging around 9 rush yards per carry. Here's the big stat. This is wild to me. Caleb Williams has the 3rd highest scramble per blitz rate, which means he runs and scrambles at the 3rd most whenever he's blitzed. I don't even know if I described that well. You probably get it. But that means this is a great matchup because the Vikings, how about blitzing at the highest rate in the NFL? That's what they do. We already saw earlier this year in week 1, Caleb had 58 rush yards versus Minnesota. I love to see it again. Again, this game script should be a neutral, maybe negative game script. I like the Vikings to win and cover here, as we talked about in the other video. But either way, I think he's going to have to use his legs. So give me Williams over 23.5 rush yards as my 4th prop. All right, I know we have lacked some unders so far, so let me give you one. This is a bet that I don't usually make, but I like this one. Give me Dylan Gabriel, longest completion under 27.5 yards. I'm not understanding this line either. As you can see by this outlier screenshot, he is under in all 6 games he has played. 100% hit rate. That's a nice start. This is a guy who rarely throws it downfield. We talked about it all year. He just doesn't do much of it. They don't trust him, whatever it is. And then we also have some bad weather in this game. Wind is what I really care about when it comes to passing. Not as much rain and things like that. But the wind, it's supposed to be around 20 to 25 miles an hour in this game. Again, if it's not quite that high, it doesn't mean I don't like the bet. But just wanted to point that out. So more numbers now. He's averaging just 8.3 yards per completion, just 66.2 air yards per game, only completed 17 passes a game. It is extremely low all over the place. This team, as you guys know, heavily relies on the run game and their defense. And as I talked about in the Game Bets video, their defense is absolutely elite at home. Number 1. When they're on the road, 6th worst when it comes to points given up. So they are at home here, which means I think they can kind of keep this somewhat closer. Which, I don't think they're going to fall down by 24 or anything like that where they just chuck it all over the field. And even if they do, you still got to throw it deep. But they're facing the Ravens. Defense much better lately, like we've talked about. And this is not a great or tough matchup for Baltimore. You got Jerry Jeudy and Fannin and all these guys. It's not that tough. This defense is 13th in yards per catch allowed. So with this weather, the matchup, this Browns passing game, and just how they function, maybe he gets benched halfway through if he struggles. I don't know, but I like him to hit it again. Just need to avoid some kind of fluky play, like a screen pass that goes deep or someone misses a tackle or whatever it is. I like this one, though. Give me Gabriel under 27.5 yards for longest completion. That's my fifth and final prop on the video. Now let's talk the ladder parlay. All right, we are a huge 1-0 on ladder parlays. Let's see if we can make it 2 in a row. Again, this is a big one. Ladder parlay of plus 740 on DraftKings. I'm sprinkling a quarter unit. We're having some fun. I'm using 2 bets that we just talked about. Christian Watson, 50-plus receiving yards. Caleb Williams, 40-plus rush yards. Let's talk about these briefly. Again, we already talked about most of them. But like we talked about with Watson, he has big play potential, huge ADOT, lots of air yards. When he gets catches there for chunk yards, he could do this in 2 catches, to be honest with you. In his 3 games this year, he has 50-plus receiving yards in 2 of the 3. So he's not only over the regular line in all 3, he's actually over or 50 in 2 of the 3. Only under was last week, and he still had 45 against the Eagles in a tougher matchup. So great matchup, like I said, against the Giants, man-to-man defense, and just the secondary in general. So give me Watson for 50-plus receiving yards. Second one, Caleb Williams, 40-plus. We're using a quarterback rushing ladder yet again for the second week in a row. When Caleb goes over this rushing line, it usually goes over by quite a bit. So this season, he's over that 23.5 line we talked about 5 times. Of those 5 overs, he actually has 53 or more rush yards in 3 of those 5. So he doesn't just hit 40, he hits 50 in a lot of them. He's hit 40-plus rush yards in 2 straight games now. So again, we got some hit rates that are pretty good lately. Like I said earlier, 58 rush yards versus Minnesota already earlier this year. High blitz team, Caleb, a high scramble quarterback whenever he is facing the blitz. And when I say high blitz team, if you missed it earlier, Vikings blitz at the highest rate. Caleb Williams is the 3rd highest scrambler on per blitz. So I like Williams for 40-plus rush yard, Christian Watson for 50-plus receiving yards. That is a huge plus 740 for a quarter unit. That's what we got for the ladder parlay. Now let's talk some anytime touchdowns. All right, here we go. As you guys know, it's a quarter unit each for me. I don't bet these huge. You need a lot of luck and touchdowns and all that, but I got 3 of them that I like. Let's talk about Trey McBride, anytime touchdown, plus 115 on Bet365. By the way, this is a great time to talk about it. We gave out his over 5.5 touchdowns as a futures bet this year, and boy, did that cash easy. That was beautiful. But he's been on a roll and finding the end zone quite a bit. This season, how about 5 touchdowns in his last 4 games? That's right. He went over his season total in just the last 4 games. He has 6 overall this season. Great connection with Jacoby Brissett in the red zone. He has 3+ red zone targets now in 4 straight games. That's pretty impressive. Also, 46 targets overall in the last 4 games. Facing the Niners, a defense that does not get pressure on quarterbacks like we've talked about all year. They're ranked 21st in touchdowns allowed to tight ends. 3 tight ends have scored a touchdown in the 49ers' last 2 games. I like McBride to stay hot. So second one, Justin Jefferson, anytime touchdown, plus 110 on Bet365. This man is way overdue for a good game and a touchdown. He only has 2 touchdowns in the 9 games this year. That's just bad quarterback play, obviously. But both touchdowns did come in J.J. McCarthy starts. So when Carson Wentz was out there, he never caught a touchdown. In 2 of the 4 McCarthy starts, he does have one. Still getting red zone targets, 2 red zone targets in 3 of the last 4 games. Usage targets still high, obviously, 9+ targets in 6 straight. So it's not like he's not being used. Just has not found the end zone. Last week versus Baltimore in a tough matchup. Obviously, he didn't score, but now he faces the Bears, ranked 30th out of 32 teams for touchdowns allowed to wide receivers. Absolute dream matchup. In fact, one of Jefferson's 2 touchdowns this year, one of them was against this Bears team earlier this season. The defense is flat out not very good. We know that. Secondary has struggled. Give me JJ to get back on track and score TD. The third one, Aronde Gadsden. Jeez, I messed that up. Anytime touchdown, plus 180 on FanDuel. He's been a big part of this offense lately. He has 2 touchdowns this season only. Overall, though, he has 5+ receptions in 4 of his last 5. Been a lot more heavily used in the last few games. 33 targets in the last 5 games. Second highest red zone target share on the team. That's pretty impressive considering these receivers that are on the team. But he is facing the Jaguars. Another dream matchup. 30th in touchdowns allowed to tight ends this season. In fact, some recent touchdowns, I keep saying touchdowns. Recent tight ends versus the Jags. Schultz had one touchdown last week. The 1 week before that, Brock Bowers caught 3 touchdowns. Terrence Ferguson had a touchdown as well before that. I like getting plus 180 for a pretty heavily targeted guy, seeing consistent volume, consistent targets, and things like that. So That's what I got for my 3 anytime touchdowns and my player props and the ladder parlay. Again, if any added plays come up, I will add it in the pinned comments below. But before we get out of here, let's check out the recap. All right, there it is, my player prop anytime touchdown card. We got Christian Watson over 37.5 receiving yards for a unit. Tyler Higbee over 2.5 receptions for a unit. Higgins, the other Higgins, over 17.5 receiving yards, -115. That is a half unit play. Caleb Williams over 23.5 rush yards for a unit. Dylan Gabriel, longest completion, under 27.5 yards for a half unit. And then the ladder parlay, let's win it again. Christian Watson, 50-plus receiving yards. Caleb Williams, 40-plus rush yards at +740. That's just a quarter unit. And then anytime touchdowns, Trey McBride, anytime at +115. JJ at +110. And Gadsden at +180. Let's have another great weekend in the NFL. Again, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate the support every single day. Hope you guys enjoy Week 11. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.